Yan. Hello class! So in this video, we are going to discuss apportionment and voting. So again, naalala natin when we talk about mathematics in the modern world, iba't ibang klase ng applications ng math na hindi lang theoretical yung makikita natin dito. So I hope that in this topic, ma-appreciate natin yung math, especially ayun, with the election season coming. So, dalawa yung pag-aaralan natin dito. So, obviously, that's apportionment, first one, and then the other one is voting. So, when we say apportionment, so it is the process by which seats in a legislative body are distributed among administrative divisions, such as states or parties entitled to representation. So, in the Philippine context, paano natin ina-apply yung apportionment? So, di ba, kung tayo ay familiar sa mga bawat lugar kung saan tayo nakatira, meron tayong mga tinatawag na districts. And yung districts na yan ay, halimbawa, within a city or within a province, hinahati natin yung buong province na yun into different districts. Yung bawat distrito na yun, meron siyang representative. Anong nirepresent niya? O di yung tao ng distrito na yun. Tapos, nagiging congressman sila. Umupo sila sa lower house natin or sa Congress. So, yun yung application nito or ganun yung apportionment in the Philippines. So, usually, this is depende sa population ng isang province. Halimbawa, so kung tayo mostly sa Bulacan, no? So, in this case, ito tayo. Ayan. So, sa Bulacan daw, from the material na Google ko, so we have, ayan, di ko ma-identify. So, this is pink siguro. So, we have 5 districts in Bulacan. So, nahati ang Bulacan sa 5 distrito. And yung 5 distrito na yon, meron silang isang representative sa Congress natin. So, yun yung mga tumatakbong congressman every time na may election tayo. So, they represent our district. So, ganun yung apportionment natin dito. So, yung apportionment in the Philippines is depende sa population. Ganun talaga. So, depende sa population talaga. Siyempre, nasa constitution natin kung halimbawa, in one province, ilan yung pwedeng representative na meron tayo. So, however, sa Pilipinas, no, gusto ko lang i-share, ang apportionment sa Pilipinas, parang ina-apply siya, no, kasi hindi tayo ganun ka, sa Pilipinas kasi hindi ganun ka organized na automatic na kapag nag-change tayo ng population, yung apportionment mo is automatic magkakaroon ka ng election for a representative or for a congressman. So, hindi ganun sa atin. Ina-apply pa. So, halimbawa, ang Bulacan before, 4 districts lang yan. Pero, kahit madami na yung population, 4 districts pa rin. In-apply na magkaroon ng lone district para maging 5 districts tayo. So, ganun yung apportionment na pinag-uusapan natin. Ayan. But this is another example of the application of apportionment. So, kung nasundan nyo yung election last time with the US election, so siguro nakikita natin tong map na to ng US. So, ito rin ay ina-apportion. No? May apportionment din nangyari dito. But this time around, when it comes to the voting power ng isang state. So, ganun yung ginawa natin dito. And the voting power of a state also depends on the population of a certain state. And ito, sa US, updated to. So, every year, depende, sila yung nag-a-adjust or alam nila or retroactive kumbaga, pinapalitan nila yung, di retroactive pala, I mean, they change it actively. Pinapalitan nila kung ano yung um, weight ng bawat state kapag ka nag-change yung ating nag-change yung ating population. So nangyari dito, 'di ba dito sa pag sinabi natin electoral college yung tawag natin dito. So halimbawa, kung sino yung binoto ng isang state, let's say for example, so we have Texas, halimbawa ito. So this is Texas. Ang katumbas ng Texas is 38 na electoral votes. So, ibig sabihin nito, kung sino yung boboto ng Texas, automatic magkakaroon siya ng 38 points. And yung 38 points na to, na malaki, that is because malaki yung population ng Texas. So, ganun yung apportionment na ginagawa natin dito. Ayan. So, these are just examples, no? Para before natin siya i-discuss, ma-appreciate nyo, ay, oo nga, no? Ganito pala yung application niya. So, pero ang i-discuss natin, syempre, is yung paano yung process of apportionment. Now, take note, nasa discussion natin na to is yung pag-apportion natin ay nire-revise pa yan or nire-rectify or tinitailor fit sa kung ano yung application natin. No? Kasi hindi ko masasagot na, sir, sa Philippine Congress po, anong apportionment yung gamit? Sa US Congress, ano yung ginagamit? Sa Electoral College, ano exactly yung ginagamit? So, hindi natin siya ma-identify. Kasi, inaano pa siya, nire-revise and tinitailor fit sa kung saan natin siya ina-apply. Yan. So, general apportionment yung pag-uusapan natin dito. Now, itong apportionment natin, so just a little history, nagsimula to because of elections nga. No? Since hindi natin alam paano i-apportion before kung sino yung mga representatives natin, so in-explore natin sila. And yung two competing plans, generally, ito na yung framework na ginagamit for any apportionment, ay inintroduce ni Hamilton at saka ni Jefferson. So, itong mga to ay mga US politicians. I think Thomas Jefferson is US president, was a US president also. So, aralin natin yung dalaw na yan. So, we will first talk, ang pag-uusapan natin una is the Hamilton plan and then later on the Jefferson plan. Pero para mas maintindihan natin siya, magbigay tayo ng actual example. No? So that we can really apply these methods of apportionment. Yan. So meron tayong isang fictitious na country. Yung fictitious country na yon ay yung Atla. So medyo obvious naman siguro yung references. Atla. So Avatar, The Last Airbender. Ginawa natin siyang country. Pero pinangalan natin yung country niya as Atla. Now we have 4 states daw dito. We have the Earth Kingdom, we have the Water Tribe, we have the Fire Nation, and the Air Nomads. Tapos we also have the Republic City. Ayan. So we have total of 5 states. So Atlas siya, no? Pero Cora yung reference natin sa Republic City. Yan. But anyway, ito yung ating population. And yung total population natin is 20,000. Now, ang tanong is, using Hamilton and Jefferson plans, paano natin malalaman kung gaano karami yung representatives ng bawat state natin na to? Ilan ang manggagaling sa Earth Kingdom? Ilan ang manggagaling sa Water Tribe? Ilan ang manggagaling sa Fire Nation, sa Air Nomads, sa Republic City? So, yun yung ating kailangan na alamin. So, let us first start with the Hamilton plan. So, with the Hamilton plan, ang ginagawa lang natin dito is we try to find a divisor. Now, according to this statement earlier, ang sabi dito, sa constitution daw ng Atla, ang kailangan ay meron kang 25 representatives chosen among the states. Ang question na lang, ilan yung kukunin mo per state? Sa Earth Kingdom, ilan? Sa Water Tribe, ilan? Etc. So, how do we determine sino-sino yung 25 representatives na to? So, that is the question. So, how do we apportion that? So, using the Hamilton plan, so what we do is we divide or we determine our standard divisor. And then, we use that divisor, di-divide natin yung bawat population ng bawat state natin, and that will be the number of representatives na kukunin natin from that state. So that standard divisor natin, so that is equal to the total population over the number of people to apportion. So ilan yung representatives? So kunin mo yung total population, i-divide mo sa number of na kukunin mo, that is your standard divisor. And then yung standard divisor na yon, gagamitin mo siya to find the number of representatives per each state. So in this case, for Atla, total population natin is 20,000. But the number of people to apportion natin is 25. So meaning 20,000 divided by 25, ang standard divisor natin ay 800. Now, if we will use this to divide each population ng bawat state natin, may makukuha tayo na number obviously. Now, yung number na yon, most likely will be a decimal, no, na number. So, yung whole number dun sa quotient natin, yun yung tinatawag natin na standard quota. So, if we will apply this to Atla, given our statistics, so you will have population ng Earth Kingdom, that's 11,123 divided by 800. So, we will have 13.9. Now, yung whole number niya, which in this case is 13, that is your standard quota. So, 13 yung nilagay natin dito. For the water tribe, that's 879 over 800. That's 1.099. So, ang whole number mo, standard quota, that's 1. For the Fire Nation, that's 3518 over 800. So, your whole number is 4. That's your standard quota. Air Nomads, you have 1 as your standard quota. And Republic City, you have 3 as your standard quota. So, yung standard quota na yan, yung whole number natin, that is already your standard na number of representatives from each state. So, in short, sa Earth Kingdom, kailangan meron kang 13. Sa Water Tribe may isa, sa Fire Nation may 4, sa Air Nomads may isa, at sa Republic City merong 3. Now, the problem is, ang sabi sa Constitution ng ATLA ay dapat meron tayong 25 na representatives. With this total ng standard quota natin, ang meron lang tayo ay 22. Diba? So, ano yung gagawin natin? So, ang gagawin natin is we use the decimal numbers to fill in for the rest of the seats for ATLA. So, we only have 22, so we need to fill in 3 seats pa. So, using the Hamilton plan, what you need to do is just look at the decimals. Kung sino yung pinakamalaki yung decimal, siya yung unang bibigyan mo ng seat. And then yung sumunod, bibigyan mo ng seat, and so on and so forth, hanggang makumpleto mo lahat ng seats natin. So, in short, kung gagawin natin yon, ito yung standard quota natin, di ba? Titingnan natin yung mga decimal nila. So, that is yung 0.904, 0.99, 0.398, 0.954, and 0.646. So, titingnan natin ilan yung idadagdag natin from this one. Simulan natin sa pinakamataas na decimal. Ang pinakamataas natin is the Air Nomads because you have 0.954 as your decimal. So, ibig sabihin, kung siya yung pinakamataas, magdadagdag tayo ng 1 representative from the Air Nomads. So, ang number of representative niya na ay 2. Ayan. So, nadagdagan siya ng isa. Next, ano yung sumunod na pinakamataas sa 0.954? That is 0.904. So, that is the Earth Kingdom. So, from 13, dadagdagan pa natin siya ng isang representative, we will have 14 na. Now, kung nadagdagan na natin ng isa sa Air Nomad, isa sa Earth Kingdom, meron na tayong 24. So, kulang pa ng isa. So, proceed pa tayo sa next na nation or next na state na may mataas na decimal. In this case, yung sumunod na pinakamataas ay ang Republic City with 0.646. So, yun yung susunod na bigyan natin ng seat. So, imbes na 3 lang, we will have 4 representatives from the Republic City. And kung nakita natin yan, 3 na yung nadagdag nating additional seats. And na-fill na natin yung 25 seats for their representative. So, ganun class yung tinatawag natin Hamilton plan. So, the process is very simple. Ang una lang natin gagawin is, find the divisor. Pag nakuha natin yung divisor, divide natin yung bawat population. Kunin natin yung standard quota. And then, next na gawin natin is fill in the rest of the seats by or through determining alin yung pinakamataas yung decimal values natin. Ayun. So, that is the Hamilton plan. Dali lang. So, next, we have the Jefferson plan. So, as we saw with the Hamilton plan, so kumukuha tayo ng standard divisor. However, this does not always yield the correct number of representatives. Katulad kanina, kulang tayo ng 3 representative, di ba? So, tapos nagdadagdag lang tayo from kung ano yung nakadecimal. So, ibig sabihin, si Hamilton pala, hindi niya exactly binibigay yung exact number of representatives natin. Now, yung Jefferson plan, ino-overcome niya yun. No? Kaso, ang ginagawa natin for this one, using trial and error, we try to find a modified standard divisor. So, in short, mag-ano tayo dito? Trial and error hanggang sa makuha natin yung tamang divisor na exactly ibibigay sa atin yung number of representatives na kailangan natin. Di ba? So, in this case, mag trial and error talaga to. So, halimbawa, syempre mag-stating ka ng number that is advisable. So, halimbawa, ang ginamit natin ay nag-start ka at 700. And then, pag nag-700 ka, makikita mo na sobra-sobra yung number of representatives mo. So, in short, kailangan babaan mo siya. Di ba? Ganun naman, halimbawa, binigyan mo ng 700, tapos nakita mo na um, sobrang konti nung number of sobrang dami sobrang konti nung number of representatives na meron ka, then dapat papaliitin mo yung 700 mo. So ganun yung trial and error natin. So in this case, ang ginamit natin is 740. So if we will use 740, makikita natin that kapag ka dinivide natin yung kumuha tayo ng modified standard divisor natin, mag-arrive tayo at an exact total of 25 using the standard quota lang. So we have 15 dito. We have 1 representative from Water Tribe, 4 representatives from Fire Nation, 2 representatives from the Air Nomads, and 3 representatives from the Republic City. Mag-arrive tayo at exactly 25. So take note class, etong 740 na to, kinukuha lang natin siya trial and error. There is no exact way, wala tayong formula para malaman yung modified standard divisor natin. Ang kailangan lang gawin is we do trial and error talaga. So based from our trial and error, doon na lang natin titingnan kung kailangan palakihin natin or paliitin yung standard divisor natin. Dito kasi, nakuha natin agad yung tama, which is 740. Pero kapag ka hindi given sa atin yan, or hindi pa natin yan hinahanap, mag-iimbento tayo talaga, literal. Tapos depende sa makukuha natin na standard quota, kung sobra-sobra ba or kulang, doon natin i-adjust yung value ng standard divisor natin. Ayan. So that is the Jefferson plan naman. Ayan. So for comparison, sa Hamilton plan, ito yung number of representatives natin. We have 14 for the Earth Kingdom, 1 for the Water Tribe, 4 for the Fire Nation, 2 from the Air Nomads, and 4 from the Republic City. Parang mali dito. Ayan, 2 dapat to. Okay. Mali pala ako nung na-copy. So this is 15, no? Tapos 2 dito. Ayan, edit ko ngayon mismo para di kayo malito. Ayan, wait lang. Ayan, yan yung tama. Okay. So for the Jefferson plan, ito naman yung nakuha natin. That's 15, 1, 4, 2, and 3. So ito yung apportionment natin. So still, pareha silang total sa 25. Ayan. So depende na lang sa application natin. Ayun, kung ano yung i-apply natin na plan. Kasi makikita natin different yung results natin kapag nag-Hamilton plan tayo tsaka nag-Jefferson plan. So remember, si Hamilton plan, kapag kulang, definitely kulang yung makukuha mong representatives dyan. So you just have to fill in the rest of the seats. So sa Jefferson plan man, trial and error para makuha mo exact mismo yung number of seats na kailangan natin. So aside from Congress or from politics, marami pa itong pwedeng pag-applyan. Halimbawa ito, other examples, yung mga nurses na i-assign sa bawat hospital. So, depende sa number ng pasyente, di ba? So, alam naman natin yon. Kung mas maraming pasyente, mas maraming nurse na ina-apply. Pero, ano yung exact method na pwede natin gamitin? O gumamit tayo ng apportionment. So, ganun din, mga pulis sa mga presinto, number of students na professors na i-deploy sa mga universities or schools, depende sa number ng students. So, pwede natin i-apply yung apportionment doon. Yan. So, let's have an example. So, suppose daw that 18 professional engineers are selected according to sample populations of the 5 biggest cities in the province as shown in the table. So, ito yung table natin. We have San Jose del Monte City. Ang kanyang population ay 7,020. Marilao, we have 2,430. May Kawayan is 1,540. And Balolos, 3,720. And Santa Maria, that's 5,290. So, iyan yung natin, population natin per per city natin. So, ang sabi dito, ang question is, letter A daw, use Hamilton method to determine the number of professional engineers the city should have. And also, use din natin yung Jefferson method. Yan. So, madali lang to. So, start tayo with letter A, find the using Hamilton plan. So, to do this, we need to find the standard divisor. So, yung standard divisor natin dito ay the total population over the number of people to apportion. Yung total population natin, we need to add the following. So, calculate nyo lang, 7,020 plus 2,430 plus 1,540 plus 3,720 plus 5,290. So, that is equal to 20,000. And then divide that to the number of people to apportion, which is 18 professional engineers. So, kung ganun yung case, you will have 20,000 over 18. And that is equal to 1,111.11. So, this is your standard divisor. Now that you have your standard divisor, divide mo lang and try to find the standard quota. So, for the city of San Jose del Monte, that's 7,020 over your divisor, 1,111.11. So, we have 6.318. For Marilao, 2.187. For Maykawayan, 1.386. For Malolos, 3.348. And for Santa Maria, that's 4.761. Kunin muna natin yung whole numbers kasi yun yung standard quota natin. So, for San Jose del Monte City, that's 6. For Marilao, that's 2. For Maykawayan, that's 1. For Malolos, that's 3. And for Santa Maria, that's 4. So, we have 6 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4, that is 16. How many people to apportion? We need 18. So, kulang pa tayo ng dalawa. So, kuha tayo ng dalawa dun sa pinakamataas yung decimal natin, which in this case is from Santa Maria, yung 0.761. So, magdagdag tayo ng isa from Santa Maria. So, we now have 5 professional engineers from Santa Maria. Next, ang kasunod ng 7.61 ay yung 386. So, yung 0.386 yung next na mas malaki. So, magdadagdag tayo ng 1 representative from Maykawayan. So, magiging dalawa na siya. And since nakapag-fill na tayo ng 2 seats, nakumpleto na natin yung 18 na kailangan. So, this is the apportionment using Hamilton method. So, we have 6 from San Jose del Monte City, 2 from Marilao, 2 from Maykawayan, 3 from Malolos, and 5 from Santa Maria. Okay, next, proceed tayo sa letter B. For letter B, Hamilton plan tayo. Tawag dito, Jefferson plan pala. So, for the Jefferson plan, again, trial and error tayo dito. So, for instance, ang ginamit natin ay 925. No, tayo lang to, pinili lang natin randomly. Pero, syempre, ito na yung technique class. At least, ito yung pwede nating basehan. Yung ating modified standard divisor ay medyo malapit sa ating standard divisor from the Hamilton plan. No? So, yun yung isang clue natin. So, wag naman na gawin nyo 5 yung modified standard divisor nyo. Syempre, sobrang labo naman na nun. So in this case, kung wari nag-trial and error tayo, ang una kong nilagay ay 925. So, kung 925 yung una kong nilagay, yung standard quota ko will be 7 for San Jose, 2 for Marilao, 1 for Maykawayan, 4 for Malolos, and 5 from Santa Maria. Now, kung ito-total ko yun, ang lalabas ay 19. So, kung 19 yan, sobrang dami. Kasi you only need 18. So, ano yung kailangan mangyari? Kailangan ay mapababa natin to. So, mabawasan yung mga standard quota natin. So, paano natin mababawasan yung standard quota? So, kailangan palakihin natin yung divisor natin. So, from 925, ang gawin nating divisor natin is 950. Yan. So, take note, bakit natin pinataas? From 925, bakit natin ginawang higher than 925? Kasi yung nakuha nating standard quota ay masyadong mataas. Sobra. So, para mapaliit natin to, i-divide mo sa mas maliit na number, sa mas malaking number. Diba? Kasi pag divide mo siya sa mas malaking number mo, mas kukonti yung numerator natin or yung resulting quotient natin. So, in this case, from 925, in-increase natin siya to 950. So, divide natin yung bawat population sa 950. So, for San Jose del Monte, we will have 7.3389. For Marilao, 2.558. For City of May Kawayan, that's 1.621. For Malolos, 3.916. And for Santa Maria, that's 5.568. Now, if you will get the standard quota and get the total, you will arrive at 18. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, using the Jefferson Plan, we were able to apportion gaano karaming professional engineers yung kukunin natin sa bawat city. So, 7 from San Jose, 2 from Marilao, 1 from Meycauayan, 3 from Malolos, and 5 from Santa Maria. So, that is our result no, ng ating Jefferson Plan. So, still, makikita natin may difference. So, we have from 62235, naging 72145. So, pwede nyong i-apply ito sa mga kanya-kanya din nating initiatives, no? Marami tayong pwedeng mapagamitan nito para fair yung distribution, di ba? Nung pag-apportion natin, nung kahit sa pagkain, ganun. O, sino ba ang dapat bigyan ng mas maraming pagkain? Sa isang ganyan, ganito, purok barrio nyo, pwede nyong i-apply yung apportionment natin. Ayan. Ayan. So, that is it for our discussion with apportionment. So, pupunta naman tayo sa voting. Ayan. So let us first define what voting is. So voting, so it is a method for a group, such as a meeting or an electorate, in order to make a collective decision or express an opinion, usually following discussions, debates, or election campaigns. So that is voting. So familiar naman tayo sa voting. But the question is, ano ba yung iba't ibang method ng voting? Kasi tayong alam lang nating method ng voting, siguro, mag-election ng class officers, o taas kamay. Sino yung gusto kay ganyan, gusto kay ganito. So, hindi lang ganun yung possible methods of voting natin. Kasi 'di ba, yung mga ganung klase ng method, it can pose some errors o kaya may mga times na may mga discrepancy tayo nakukuha no with the voting or hindi talaga nadidinig kung ano yung pulso ng mga voters natin. So that's why we have different methods of voting din. Ayan. So, ganun din for this discussion, katulad nung binanggit ko with apportionment, hindi natin directly masasabi na, ito exactly yung method na ginagawa in the United States or in the Philippines because inaano natin sila, minomodify. No? Depende sa kung ano yung nasa loob ng konstitusyon ng isang bansa o kaya konstitusyon and bylaws ng isang organization. Yan. So, we have the following common modes of voting. So, ito kumbaga mga framework to na nakabase sa mga to kung paano bumoboto ang different organizations or different countries. We have number 1, plurality voting method. Number 2, that's board account method of voting. Next is plurality with elimination. And lastly, we have pairwise comparison voting method. Ayan, so challenge, no? Habang dinidiscuss natin to, I want you to think, ano ang sa tingin nyo, best voting method na i-apply sa Pilipinas. Yan. Okay, so first one tayo, we have the plurality method of voting. Ito siguro yung very familiar tayo. O ganito lang yan, kung sino yung pinakamaraming boto, siya yung mananalo. Kaya nga, plurality. Kung sino yung pinakamadami, siya yung mananalo. That's the plurality method of voting. Now, in plurality method of voting, as well with other voting schemes, pwede nating ma-apply din yung what we call as the majority vote. When we say majority vote, dapat 50% nung lahat nung voters mo ay bumoto dun sa kandidato. Yan. So, sa majority vote, ito, minomodify na rin to. No? In some countries, bawa ang isang official na tatakbo, walang kalaban, di ba pwede mo pa rin siyang i-shade sa balota. Kapag hindi na-reach nung politiko na yon yung at least 30% ng boto, hindi ka mananalo. No? Babakante yung seat. So, ganun yung some other countries. So, iniiba siya. Pero pag sinabi nating majority vote, dapat more than 50%. But in some countries or some organizations, minomodify yan na o at least 30% dapat bumoto sa'yo kahit wala kang kalaban. Kung wala, ibig sabihin, may distrust. So, hindi siya mako-consider as win, kumbaga. Yun. So, yun yung majority vote natin. Now, this is not same with plurality vote. Kasi pag sinabi natin plurality vote, kung sino lang yung pinakamataas. Kahit na 1 point lang yung difference nyo, or kung tatlo kayong candidate halimbawa, tigwa 1 point lang yung difference nyo, so kung hindi 50% yung nakaboto sa'yo, hindi ka pa rin mananalo. So, kaya nga ang ginawa kong ano dito is ito sa kung nagbabasa kayo ng manga or nanonood kayo ng Hunter, so may rule kasi doon na at least 50% kailangan makuha. So that is majority vote yung tawag natin doon. Ayan. So paano natin ina-apply yung plurality method of voting natin? So for this one, we will give an example. So now, syempre, para naman ma-apply natin yung ibang methods of voting doon sa mga examples natin, we will present problems na may tinatawag natin na preference schedule. No? Yung results ng voting natin, gagawin natin siya na preference schedule. Yung ranking na, yung sinabi nating preference schedule, ito yung nirarank mo yung choices. The voter ranks your choices from 1 to 5. No? Ang tawag natin doon ay preference schedule. Because with preference schedule, mas madali nating ma-apply or ma-identify ano yung different methods of voting na applicable, no, with this one. So, aralin muna natin ang tutong table na to. Paintindi ko muna ano itong mga table na to. So, for this one, meron kang mga voters or clients. Ang tinatanong dito is, ano daw yung favorite mo sa mga flavors na to? Bawa, ano to? Imagine niyo na lang ano to, lollipop. Tapos yung lollipop ay pwedeng caramel yung center, vanilla, almond, toffee, or solid chocolate. Now, irarank mo alin yung favorite mo from 1 to 5. Alin yung most favorite to your least favorite. So, for example, in this first column, mayroong 17 voters na nirank nila yung vanilla center as number 1. Nirank nila yung almond center as number 2. Nirank nila yung toffee center ay yung solid chocolate as number 3. Toffee center as number 4, and then caramel center as pang-5. So, hindi nila bet yung caramel center. So, ganun din. For the second column naman, you have 11 voters na ang number 1 nila ay toffee, ang number 2 nila ay solid chocolate, ang number 3 nila ay almond center, ang number 5 nila, ang number 4 nila ay caramel, ang vanilla ay number 5. So, and so on and so forth. So, we have 9 dito. Ito yung gusto nila, 8, 3, and 2. Ito yung mga preferences nila. So, according to this table, which variety of candy would win the taste test using the plurality voting? So, kung plurality voting yung i-apply natin dito, then we just have to find alin dito sa mga to, ano yung pinakamaraming boto na number 1 yung certain flavor na yun. So, in this case, hahanapin natin ilan yung bumoto sa vanilla center ng 1. Ilan yung bumoto sa caramel center ng 1, sa almond center, sa toffee center, sa solid chocolates center ng 1. And then, ito total natin sila. Yan. So, paano natin i-identify yun? E di hanapin lang natin dito. Halimbawa, for vanilla center, ito yung row niya. Ilan yung bumoto ng 1 for vanilla center? 17. So, that is 17 votes for vanilla center. Next, for caramel center, ilan yung bumoto ng 1 sa kanya? Wala. Diba? So, tanggal na agad yan sa equation. Sa almond center, ilan? So, for almond center, we have 8. For toffee center, we have this column and this column. So, that's 11 plus 9. So, we have a total of 20 na nag-vote ng 1 for toffee center. For solid chocolate, we have 1 here, 1 dito. So, 3 plus 2, that's 5. So, meaning, for toffee center, we have a total of 9. For vanilla center, we have a total of 17. For caramel center, 0. For almond center, we have 8. And for solid chocolate, that's 5. So, obviously, sino yung panalo? So, ang panalo ay yung toffee center. Because sa toffee center, meron siyang 20 na first place votes. So, that is winning by plurality. Yan. Now, ang question is this a majority vote win? Hindi. Why? Because hindi 50%. Kung kukunin natin yung total ng number of voters natin, this is more than 40. Tama ba? So, we have 20 plus 8. We have, We have 20 plus 17. That's 37. Plus 8, that's 45. Plus 3 plus 2, that's 50. So that's less, yung 20 na votes is less than 50% of the total number of voters. So this is a winner of plurality taste test, but this is not a winner of a majority vote taste test. Ayan, ito pala, nilagay ko pala siya. So 40% lang kasi nung total natin yung bumoto ng number 1 sa TOEFL-centered. So panalo siya by plurality but hindi siya panalo by majority vote or hindi niya na-receive yung majority vote natin. Ayan. So that is plurality method of voting. Okay. We'll now proceed with the next one. So the next one natin is the board account method of voting. So for the board account method of voting, so this is a framework ng pagboto kung saan nilalagyan natin ng points. Depende sa pagkakarank natin sa kanila. So halimbawa, kung yung number 1 mo, bigyan mo ng 5 points. Yung number 2, 4 points. Number 3, 3 points. Number 2, 2 points. And number 1, 1 point. So yun yung paggamit natin sa borda. And then the one that receives the most number of total points will be the winner. Now, itong borda natin na borda count method of voting, this resolves the problem na hindi na nako-consider yung alternative candidates natin or alternative choices ng ating voters. So, halimbawa, tingnan natin tong preference schedule na to. We have senators na nagbobotohan. Ano yung gusto nilang gamiting? Budget, 50 million, measure A. 30 million, measure B, or measure C, that's 15 million. So, makikita natin dito na yung 15 senators natin in this column, they prefer measure A. Diba? Over measure C. So, we have a total of, but, kung titingnan natin, we have 12 plus 9 senators. Ito siya, 12 plus 9 senators. Hindi nila pala prefer si measure A. Diba? So dito, makikita natin that 15 senators voted this for number 1. So kung plurality lang tayo yung pag-uusapan natin dito, si measure A na yung panalo. But kung titingnan natin yung other columns, makikita natin na we have 12 voters here and 9 voters here, a total of 21, na ayaw kay measure A or mas prefer si measure C or B kesa kay measure A. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, kung ayaw nila pala kay measure A, kung wala pala sa choice si measure A, si measure C yung pipiliin nila. So, yun yung gusto nating i-point out dito. So, if all three measures were on the ballot, ang unang first one would be A, second one would be B, and C would come third. This is based from plurality method. However, kung tatanggalin natin sa choice si B, di ba? Alisin natin si B. So, ang matitira na lang is measure A tsaka measure B. Eh dito, sa last two columns natin na to, makikita natin that 12 plus 9 senators actually prefer measure C over measure A. So kung wala sa choice si measure B, ang mananalo ay si measure C. Gets ba? Because makikita natin dito na kung wala si measure B, wala tong line na to, ang number 1 dito is measure C, number 2 lang si A. Ganun din dito, number 1 si C, number 2 lang si A. Eh 12 plus 9 to, so 21 yan. Mas madami yung mas may gusto kay C kaysa kay A. So, we will have a paradox. Di ba? So, mayroong butas, may loophole yung ganyang klase ng pagboto natin. So, dito na pumapasok yung board account method. So, this was proposed by Jean C. Borda. So, sa kanya pinangalan yung board account method of voting. So, using Borda, maiiba natin yung mawawala or mako-consider natin yung alternative choices ng ating mga voters or clients. So, paano natin i-apply yung borda? So, pag in-apply natin yung borda, ang gagawin natin is yung each ranking natin, lalagyan natin siya ng points. Kung number 1 yan, that's 3 points. Kung number 2 ka, that's 2 points. Kung number 3 ka, that's 1 point. So, i-apply natin siya sa bawat measure natin. So, halimbawa, si measure A, meron siyang 15 na first place votes. So, that's 15 times 3, that's 45. Now, meron siyang 0 na second place votes. So, that's 0 times 2, we have 0. And meron siyang 21 na third place votes. And that is 21 times 1, so that is equal to 21. So, yung total points ni measure A ay 66. Next, measure B tayo. Sa measure B is we have 12 first place votes, so 12 times 3, that's 36. We have 9 second place votes, that's 9 times 2, so that's 18. And we have 15 third place votes, that is 15 times 1, that is 15. So that is a total of 69. And lastly, we have measure C. We have 9 first place votes, that's 9 times 3, so 27. We have 27 second place votes, that's 27 times 2, that's 54. We have 0 third place votes, that is 0 times 1, so 0 lang yon. So we have a total of 81. So kung makikita nyo, sa board account method, ang nanalo natin is si measure C instead of measure A. Ang nakakagulat pa, si measure A pa yung pinakamababa yung boto kung board account method yung gagamitin natin. So ano yung naging advantage natin ng paggamit ng board account? Na-solve natin yung scenario na paano kung hindi given si measure B? Hindi natin sinama sa choice si measure B. So kung hindi natin sinama sa choice si measure B, ang papanalunin ng mga senators ay yung measure C. Nagkataon lang na, in this case, kung plurality, measure A yung mananalo. Diba? Kung tatlo sila at plurality yung gagamitin, measure A yung mananalo. Pero kung tatanggalin mo si B, kahit plurality yung method na gagawin mo, si measure C pa rin, si measure C na yung mananalo. Diba? Kaso hindi mo naman pwedeng tanggalin na, halimbawa ba sa election, halimbawa ngayon may 5 tayong front runner halimbawa sa presidency. Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin mo sa COMELEC na, ganito yan, pag tinanggal nyo po si Bongo, ang mananalo is si ganito. Hindi naman ganun, di ba? So, hindi naman ganun yung plurality natin. Hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin yun sa COMELEC, if file mo, mag-a-appeal ka sa kanila. So, hindi ganun yung case natin. So, paano natin ma-avoid na makuha talaga natin sino yung pulso, and also we consider the alternative candidates natin. So we use the board account method nga. And nakita natin sa board account method, pinakamaraming points si measure C. So siya yung mananalo. Ayan. So that is board account. So next, we have plurality with elimination. Pangatlo na to. So as the name suggests, plurality, tapos mag-eliminate tayo sa dulo. So I think may mga country ba? Hindi ko sure may mga country na ganito yung voting system nila. So with plurality by elimination, nako-consider din natin dito yung alternative choices ng ating mga voters. So halimbawa, may 3 voter, A, B, C. So ang nangyayari with plurality by elimination is kukunin natin yung top 2. Halimbawa, sa measure A, ganito karami yung botong nakuha niya. Si B naman, yung nakuha niyang boto is ganito kadami. And then si measure C is yung nakuha niyang boto ay ganito kadami. So kung by plurality, ang panalo is si measure A, di ba? But with plurality by elimination, ang ginagawa natin is ini-eliminate natin yung pinakamababa. So in this case, tatanggalin natin si B. So pag tinanggal natin si B, itong voters na to will have to vote again. Ang boboto nila is either si A or si C. Nakuha? So halimbawa, itong si mga bumoto kay B, ang iboboto niya nila ay si C. So kung dalawa na lang yung choice, ang iboboto pala nila ay si C. So ganito kahaba yung madadagdag kay C. So kung ganito na yung case, sa second round, ang panalo na ay si C. Ayan. So ganun naman yung plurality by elimination. Para nako-consider natin yung alternate choice ng mga voters natin. Bawa, si letter B, iba pala yung choice nila. Kung hindi pala tumakbo si letter B, kay letter C sila. So, siya yung mananalo. So, ganun yung plurality with elimination. Ayan. So, proceed tayo with an example para mas malinaw sa atin. So, meron daw tayong 30 members of a regional planning board and they must decide where the new airport will be built. So, we have consultants from different regions. So, we have from and ito pala yung lugar, no, kung saan natin sila gustong ilagay. So, ito yung preference schedule natin. Ilalagay ba siya sa Apple Valley, Bremerton, Coachella, Del Mar, or sa Del Mar? So, we have 4 choices. So, merong 12 ballots na ang number 1 nila, Coachella, number 2 nila is Bremerton, number 3 is Apple Valley, number 4 is Del Mar. We have 11 voters na number 1 nila si Apple Valley, number 2 si Coachella, number 3 si Bremerton, and number 4 si Del Mar. We have 5 voters na 1 si Del Mar, 2 si Apple Valley, 3 si Bremerton, and 4 si Coachella. And we have 2 ballots or 2 voters na number 1 si Bremerton, number 2 si Coachella, number 3 si Apple Valley, and number 4 si Del Mar. So using this preference schedule, hanapin daw natin sino yung nanalo using elimination. So for this one, pag may plurality by elimination tayo, hindi lang isang preference schedule yung meron tayo. We will have multiple preference schedule kasi ulit-ulitin natin yung botohan. Pag may na-eliminate na isa, magbubotohan ulit. At yung bumoto doon sa natanggal, they have to choose a different candidate doon sa mga natira. So, para majority pa din yung makukuha natin na vote talaga. So, kapag ganito, kapag nag-plurality by elimination tayo, with elimination, the winner will always get majority vote. Lagi na ganun yung mangyayari. No, because aabot sa point na dalawa na yung candidate natin and syempre, lagi naman na yun na mangyayari na majority vote yung makukuha. No, given na lahat sila kailangan required bumoto. Ayan. So, for this one, given these rankings, ang una nating gagawin is identify ano yung pinakahuli. Sino yung pinaka konti ang boto based from plurality. So, kung plurality yung pinag-uusapan natin dito, we have, for Coachella, bumoto ng 1 ay 12. For Apple Valley, bumoto ng 1 ay 11. For Del Mar, ang bumoto ng 1 ay 5. For Bremerton, ang bumoto ng 1 ay 2 lang. So, in short, sino yung matatanggal? Ang matatanggal is si Bremerton. Ayan. So, yun yung matatanggal because siya yung pinaka konti yung number 1 votes. Okay, baka malito. Sir, ito number 4 to, number 4 to, tapos number 4 din siya dito. Bakit hindi po natin yung kino-consider? Kasi nga, class, ang ginagamit natin ay plurality. Diba? So, plurality by elimination. So, si Delmar, ang titingnan natin is the number 1 votes bale. Okay, so in this case, tanggal na si Bremerton natin. Kasi meron lang siyang 2 first place votes. So, ang matitira na lang ay si Apple Valley, si Coachella, and Delmar. So, ang next na mangyayari ngayon dyan, class, is magbobotohan ulit. But itong dalawa na to, na bumoto ng number 1 kay Bremerton or Bremerton, they have to choose amongst the 3 remaining choices, alin yung pipiliin nila. So, ibig sabihin, itong dalawa na to, boboto pa rin sila. They can choose their alternate na mga choices nila para makatulong sa kung ano yung sinigos na lang iboto. So, in this case, ito na yung magiging bagong preference schedule natin. So, for Apple Valley, meron kang 11 na first place votes. For Coachella, you have 12 plus 2 first place votes. And for Delmar, you have still 5 na first place votes. So, ang matitira na lang ay, so ang mangyayari is we have 11 for Apple Valley, then 14 for Coachella, and 5 for Delmar. So, mag-elimination tayo ulit. Sino ang ma-eliminate? Obviously, si Delmar because 5 lang yung kanyang voters. So, ang matitira na lang ngayon ay si Apple Valley and si Coachella. Now, na si Coachella na lang, tsaka si Apple Valley yung natitira, magbobotohan na yung 5 na bumoto kay Delmar ay they have to choose between Coachella and Apple Valley. So, ito na yung bagong preference schedule natin. In-adjust na natin yun. So, we will have, ito na yung bagong voting natin. So, for Apple Valley, yung nag-number 1 sa kanya ay 11 plus 5. And for Coachella, we have 1. So, this is 12 and 2. So, this is 12 plus 2, that's 14. So, 11 plus 5, that's 15. So, sino yung nanalo? So, ang nanalo is si Apple Valley because Apple Valley has 16 first place votes. And Coachella has only 14 first place votes. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na tinatawag natin na voting by elimination. Plurality with elimination. So, ano yung naging advantage nito? So, kung nakita nyo, ang advantage nito is to consider again yung alternate choices ng ating voters. Kung titingnan natin dito sa ating pangalan nito, table natin, kung plurality lang yung pag-uusapan natin, agad-agad Apple Valley ay Coachella, no, yung mananalo. Kung plurality lang. So, number 1 si Coachella, tapos number 2 si Apple Valley, tapos number 5 si Delmar, and last si Bremerton. Diba? Yun yung choices natin. Pero nung nag-elimination tayo, nakita natin na kung wala pala sa choice, si Bremerton o kaya si Delmar, mas madami yung pipili kay Apple Valley over Coachella. So, kahit nasa plurality ang mananalo dito ay si Coachella, kapag pala na-consider yung gusto ng ibang candidates, kung wala yung choice of candidate nila or choice of location nila, mag-iiba pala yung takbo nung takbo nung election natin kung sino yung mananalo. So, makikita natin, with elimination, ang nanalo ay si Apple Valley. So, pangalawa lang si Coachella. And within this, ito rin yung sinasabi ko kanina, kapag plurality with elimination, as long as every voter are required to vote, laging makukuha nung panalo yung majority vote. Yan. So, this is plurality with elimination. Yan. And lastly, this is the last method of voting natin na di-discuss. We have the pairwise comparison voting method. So, ito naman, ang ginagawa lang dito ay winagwa one-on-one sila. Ganun lang. Now, kung sino yung mananalo sa bawat candidate, may 1 point. Kung may tatalo ka, 0 points. Kung tie kayo, 0.5 points. So, ganun yung pairwise comparison voting method. Kung baga dito, ang tawag natin ay round robin natin yung mga candidates natin. So, ito, let's look at this example. So, there are 4 proposals daw for the name of a new football stadium at the college: Panther Stadium, Sanchez Stadium, Mosher Stadium, or Fritz Stadium. So, the preference schedule cast by alumni and students is shown below. So, ito yung ating preference schedule. So, we have we have 752 ballots. Number 1 ay Sanchez, number 2 Panther, number 3 Mosher, number 4 is Fritz. We have 678, number 1 ay Mosher, number 2 ay Fritz, number 3 tie sila sa Panther and Sanchez. And we have 599, number 1 si Panther, number 2 si Sanchez, number 3 si Fritz, and number 4 si Mosher. We have 512, number 1 si Fritz, number 2 si Panther, number 3 si Mosher, and number 4 si Sanchez. And we have 487 na number 1 si Fritz, number 2 si Mosher, number 3 si Sanchez, and number 4 si Panther. Now, ang sabi is use pairwise comparison voting daw to determine the name of the stadium. And so, paano yung ginagawa natin dito? Ang ginagawa natin dito, class, is we make versus, ganun. Parang a battle, ano nga yung tawag namin doon sa Taekwondo before? Parang battle diagram. Paghaharap-harapin natin yung bawat candidate. Halimbawa, si Panther, harapin niya si Sanchez. Sino yung mananalo sa kanila? Tapos si Panther, harapin si Mosher, sino yung mananalo? Then si Panther, then si Fritz, sino yung mananalo? Then depende sa kung sino yung, yung makukuha nilang points, ma-accumulate nila. Total natin yung sa dulo, yun yung mananalo. Kung sino yung pinakaraming points, siya yung mananalo. So, paano natin ina-apply yan? Again, gagawa muna tayo ng battle diagram, kumbaga. So, in short, pag-aawayan natin sila, bawat isa. So, gawa tayo ng gantong grid. So, 4 na choices dito. So, meron kang at least 3 mga kalaban sa kanila. So, nilagyan na natin ng X or sinada na natin yung parts na mauulit lang. Kasi syempre, pag umulit, same lang naman ang results, di ba? Hindi naman to permutation na magmamatter kung sino yung mauna at mauuli. So, combination tayo dito. So, halimbawa, itong si Panther, hindi niya na makakalaban yung self niya, pero pwede niya makalaban si Sanchez, si Mosher, at si Fritz. Now, itong si Sanchez, nakalaban niya na si ito naman si Panther, nakalaban niya na si Sanchez, diba? So, kaya nilagyan na natin siya ng X dito. Because dito sa cell na to, magkalaban na sila ni Sanchez. So, kaya tinanggal natin yan. So, ganun din with the other tables. So, itong part na to, hanggang dito sa baba, lahat yan, ulit na lang. So, tinanggal na natin siya sa table. So, yung kukonsider na lang natin is itong mga cells na to na walang X. So, paglabanin natin, si Panther at saka si Sanchez. Sino ang mananalo between Panther and Sanchez? So, titingnan lang natin dito sa ating preference schedule. Kung paglalabanin natin, si Panther at saka si Sanchez, sino yung mananalo? Makikita natin na si Sanchez ay merong 740 52 na number 1 votes. Si Panther, meron siyang 599 na votes. So, sino yung mananalo dito? So, ang mananalo doon ay si Sanchez because mas marami yung number 1 votes niya compared kay Panther. Tama ba? Double check natin. Ayun. Bakit si Panther yung nakalagay sa akin? Yan, yung double check ko lang . Okay. So, hindi lang pala yung number 1 nga pala. Kasi dito, class, ang pag-awayin lang natin is si Panther lang tsaka si Sanchez. So, ang titingnan natin dito, itong kanilang columns na to. Ayan. So, ngayon, ando na tayo sa part kung saan pinag-match up na natin si Panther tsaka si Sanchez. Natingnan natin, sino yung nagpre-prefer kay Sanchez over Panther at sino yung nagpre-prefer kay Panther over Sanchez. Makikita natin na sa first column, we have 752 voting for Sanchez over Panther. Diba? Next, sa second column, tie silang dalawa. So we have 678 na bumoboto kay Panther at bumoboto rin kay Sanchez. Next, we have sa third column natin, merong 599 na prefer si Panther over Sanchez. And then on the fourth column, we have 512 na prefer si Panther over Sanchez. And we have 487 who prefers Sanchez over Panther. So if we will make a total of that, if total natin yan, so yung times or number of ballots wherein Panther was favored over Sanchez, that's 678 plus 599 plus 512. So that is 1789 ballots. So in this preference schedule, asan yung mga instances na yon? So that is, eto, yung time na to, so ano sila equal, so in-add din natin yung 678. Tapos, yung third column, no? So, itong 599, preferred nila si Panther over Sanchez. Tapos, itong 512, they prefer Panther over Sanchez. So, that's 512 plus 599 plus 678. So, nakuha natin yung 1,789 ballots. Now, titingnan naman natin yung lahat ng time at which Sanchez was favored over Panther. So, yung number of times naman na yun is makikita natin dito. So, that's 7. Ito, titingnan lang natin dito. So, that's, ito, si Sanchez, mas nanguna siya dito, 752. Tapos, dito naman sa last column, nanguna si 487. So, we have 1,239 ballots. Yan. So, mali dito, no? So, again, may mali ako dito. Hindi sila tie pala. 4. Ayan. So, hindi sila tie dito, no? Take note, correction. Pang-apat si Sanchez dito. Ayan. So, hindi sila tie. So, kung ganun yung case, makikita natin that even if mas maraming first place votes, si Sanchez, kapag plurality yung pag-uusapan, over Panther, pag-consider natin yung ibang voters, mas bet pa rin pala nila si Panther over Sanchez. So, nakita? So, in this case, ang nanalo sa matchup na to ay si Panther. So, kung siya yung nanalo sa matchup na yan, then ibig sabihin, for this matchup, yan. And for this matchup, ang panalo ay si Panther. So, ganun lang yung gagawin natin. Tapos ulit-ulitin lang natin yung process hanggang mabuo natin itong table natin. So, next, halimbawa, si Panther versus Mosher. So, titingnan lang natin. Clear natin, ano. Ang titingnan lang natin is only the row of Panther, which is this one, and the row of Mosher, which is this one. And then, kumpara lang natin sino yung preferred ng tao sa kanilang dalawa. So, for example, ito, for the first column, kanino yung 752? Kay Panther or kay Mosher? Kay Panther. Diba? Because, pangatlo lang nila si Mosher, pangalawa nila si Panther. Next, second row. Kanino ang boto nila? Kay Mosher or kay Panther? Kay Mosher. Because 678 prefers Mosher over Panther. Yung number 1 nga nila si Mosher, number 2 lang si Panther. Next, we have for the third column, we have 599. They prefer Panther over Mosher. Next, fourth column, we have 512 ballots that prefers Panther over Mosher. And lastly, we have 487 who prefers Mosher over Panther. So, i-add lang natin yung relevant, ay kung ano yung, sino yung preferred sa kanila. So, in this case, yung points natin kay Panther will be from this column, that's 752, plus the second column, that's 678, plus this next column, ano pala? Ulitin ko, no? Excuse me. Ayan. So, yung voters natin for Panther Stadium over Mosher Stadium, that is 752 from the first column. This is one. Next is 599 from the third column. Next is 512 from the third column. So, that is 752 plus 599 plus 512. So, that is the, hanapin natin yung Panther over Mosher. Ito siya. So, Panther was favored over Mosher because 752 plus 599 plus 512, that's 1683 ballots. As compared to Mosher, na ang mga kuha lang ni Mosher ay 678 plus 487. So, that is just around 1,000 plus. So, mas marami pa rin yung kay Panther. So, that is why, ang panalo sa matchup na yun ay si Panther. So, ang panalo dito, si Panther. Yan. So, ulit-ulitin lang natin yung process hanggang sa makuha natin or ma-fill up pa natin lahat ng cells natin. At pag na-fill up pa natin siya, ito na yung kakalabasan. So, we have sa matchup na Panther versus Sanchez, Panther nanalo. Sa Panther versus Mosher, Panther nanalo. Sa Panther versus Fritz, Fritz yung nanalo. Sa Fritz versus Sanchez, ang nanalo ay Fritz. Sa Mosher versus Fritz, ang nanalo ay Fritz. And sa Mosher versus Sanchez, ang nanalo ay Mosher. Ayan. So, dito na natin ngayon lalagyan ng points. Sino yung pinakamaraming points? Again, remember, kapag nanalo ka, you have 1 point. So, in this case, 3 beses nanalo si Fritz. So, meron siyang 3 points. Nanalo na 2 beses si Panther. So, meron siyang 2 points. And nanalo ng 1 beses si Mosher. So, meron siyang 1 point. So, therefore, using pairwise comparison voting method, ang panalo sa election na to ay si Fritz. So, ang papangalan natin sa stadium ay Fritz Stadium. Yan. So, yun naman yung pairwise pairwise comparison method. Now, itong mga methods na to, class, voting methods natin, meron tong advantages tsaka disadvantages. So, take note, no, kung titingnan pala natin yung preference, alternative preference, which is usually the breaking point, no, when it comes to votation. Di ba minsan, pag nagbotohan, nagsisisi tayo na sana, ay, si ganito na lang pala binoto natin kasi mas gusto naman natin siya kaysa dun sa totoong manalo. Kaso, yung isang kandidato na hindi frontrunner yung binoto natin. Di ba may mga ganong cases tayo? So, masosolve pala yun if we use different kinds of other methods of voting, such as yung with elimination, o kaya board account tayo, o kaya itong pairwise comparison. However, the disadvantage naman itong mga to is mag-uulit-ulit ka ng election. Diba? Halimbawa, to be specific, for plurality with elimination, you need to conduct the election again and again. Diba? So, yun yung isang pwedeng mangyari. Pagka naman pairwise, o kaya ano ang gagamitin natin, board account, kailangan pa natin ng computation. Iko-compute pa natin because may number 1, may number 2, i-rank pa natin yung bawat candidates natin. However, pinakamadali is plurality, kaso sa plurality naman na i-chapwera yung mga possible alternative choices natin. Di ba sa mga eleksyon, nakikita natin yun na dapat hindi na naglaban si ganito tsaka si ganyan kasi mahahati pa yung boto. Di ba? Yun yung isang problem natin with election, especially with plurality voting or plurality method of voting. Pero kung gagawa tayo ng application natin, ma-apply natin yung ibang voting method, ma-eliminate natin yung problem na yun. Also, kaya lang, at the cost of more logistics. Ayan. So, that is our topic or discussion about apportionment and voting. So, by this point, so I hope na nakapag-reflect tayo. So, I'll leave you a question. Given na tayo sa Pilipinas we have plurality voting, no? What do you think is the best method of voting na pwede natin gawin sa Pilipinas para ma-ensure natin na yung preference talaga ng taong bayan yung mailalagay natin dun sa position. Ayan. So, try nyo pag-isipan. So, share nyo amongst yourselves. Ayan. So, that is it for our discussion for this week.